One by one, employees from the tourism sector show up here at the National Insurance Board seeking financial assistance.
Wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, except that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you'd better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. There's no telling who that it's naming, for the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changing.
Hello, welcome to the New Economy, What's Next? My guest today is Professor Gilbert Morris. He is the Chief Economist at the Bahamas Strategic Advisors, Chairman of the Landfall Center, and Chairman of Keiko's Brothers. He's an international trade and finance expert, and he's also a futurist and one of our great Bahamian thinkers. So we're going to talk a lot about the future and what's going on in the world from all different perspectives and different levels, so it's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. So we're going to be talking about net exports and how that affects Bahamian businesses, foreign reserves, and foreign direct investment. So there are three players to this puzzle. There's the Bahamian business, there's the foreign customers, and then there's suppliers. What we're defining here as a Bahamian business is any company that does any production and creates value on Bahamian soil. So how it works is foreign customer wants to buy a product or service, and that can be a physical good or a digital good, and they pay into the Bahamian business, and then the Bahamian business delivers that good or service. So a Bahamian business, in turn, has, in order to create value, has to get supplies. And so there's a payout for to purchase those supplies, and then there's delivery, consequential delivery of those supplies. Net exports is simply payment in minus payment out. And because payments are done in international business in US dollars, it means US dollars in, US dollars out. If that in minus the out is positive, the foreign reserves go up. And if it's negative, the foreign reserves go down. Where does foreign direct investment and local investment come in? Investors, both local and abroad, are looking for businesses with a growth opportunity. There's opportunity to grow and expand their operations, and they need financing to do so. Professor, welcome to the show.
Yes, it's great to see you, young prince. How are you?
I'm good. You know,
Yes.
I'm glad you accepted my invitation. I've always enjoyed talking to you. I always learn something.
I always enjoy your vibrancy and your intelligence and so on, and the great relationship you have with your father, of course, is wonderful for me. And so it's a great pleasure to be here with you.
Okay. Well, why don't we start with what you're working on right now? What do you do?
Well, a wide variety of things. I'm working closely with the African Union and the African Diaspora Project, where under which the idea is that every a person of African descent living outside of Africa should become a citizen of the African diaspora nation. And so Africa has 5 regions, East, West, North, South, and Central. And the African Union, by resolution, created a 6th region called the diaspora. Africa has 54 countries, and now they're going to make the diaspora a 55th country of Africa, so that every person of African descent outside of Africa becomes a citizen of the diaspora.
So it links us back to our roots, which of course
absolutely
many of us have roots in.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of genetics and biomedical research going on, and so one of the things that you'll be able to do is to trace your DNA to the location where you may have originated. So that's largely along what is called the Grand Angola Complex. So it's a series of nations in that area. That's where most people would have originated from. Some of the inland areas, so into the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and it's a great project. There's already a commodities trading platform. There's an agricultural platform worth $500 million. There's going to be a travel and aeronautics program, and there are about 1,000 scholarships for students, people in places like the Bahamas, the United States, Brazil, wherever there are people of African origin, will have access to these 1,000 scholarships.
Yeah, because what people don't understand is Africa is the rising continent of this century.
It is.
The population is finally growing and stabilizing. They're starting to have wealth and means, which means, of course, business and trade is going to flourish. So,
if you look at Rwanda, which is one of the fastest growing countries in the world, has its own space program now. And
Little Rwanda has its own space program? That's amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And so if you look also at Botswana just forced De Beers to move its headquarters from London to Botswana, the diamond...
the diamond conglomerate.
Absolutely. And Malawi, Tanzania, Malawi just got a new, many of us in the international community who deal in global finance and private diplomacy have been advocating for a long time. Ethiopia got a new prime minister, my friend Abed, and Abed has done some amazing things, such as just one day decided that the cronyocracy in his cabinet was too great. So he just fired 50% of his cabinet, went out and got university women, all women, replaced them with all women. The first time in Ethiopian history, immediately 50% women in the cabinet. And he fired the chief justice and made her a woman. And then he had the president resign and went and chose a great Ethiopian at the United Nations and made her president.
Wow.
And so that's because, remember, it was an agrarian society. And so the women stayed in the countryside while the men came to the cities. But when the modern world came into being, that gave the men considerably more power and more linkages with business and so on. So in his cabinet, he couldn't get anything done. So it was a smart to open up.
It's like, I think the segues really nicely into how much of an internationalist you are, because like I say, there's great opportunity. People don't understand it's really easy to grow a country from a small economy, say $1,000 a year, to $2,000 a year. That's 100% growth. You know, that's I mean, so it's these countries are growing, and they don't just have. I mean, Nigeria has like 130 million people.
A little bit more than that, but yes, you're right.
These are big markets that are
big markets, and you can do microfinancing means for everyday items. So I give you just a quick example. One of the things that I'm working on, and when I was asked to take on an ambassadorship under these auspices, one of the things I laid out, because I'm not a title guy at all in this respect, but one of the things I laid out was, if we did a sort of audit and profile of the commodities available in Africa, and then say to the people of the African diaspora, who are richer than all 54 African countries combined in terms of GDP, that they will have first dibs on investing in funds, a variety of funds, whether they're sovereign wealth funds, whether they are special commodities funds, whether they're special purpose vehicle funds, and so on. They'd be able to invest in these funds. So you have more chances of growth from a growing continent, all right, investing there than investing in the other 9 to 11 vibrant stock exchanges around the world. And we saw a small example of this in Jamaica, which is the leading stock market in the world for 7 years, right?
Yes, it is.
The fastest growing stock market in the world for 7 years. So we know that, and I know that you intend to be full front and center in that space. So
yes, we are. So
absolutely.
I'm very familiar. We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsor. At Arawak X, we understand that for businesses to grow, they need capital to hire staff, buy equipment, and fuel innovative ideas. We support this process by using technology, years of business acumen, and a world-class team to get business the investment they need to get to the next level. If you are a business owner and need between $100,000 and $3 million, contact us today. We will schedule a meeting over the phone or video chat. Get on the path to your dreams. Arawak X. Dream bigger.
Documents are part of every essential business process. That's why it is important that they keep moving forward. Documents can be forwarded to the wrong person, left behind on someone's desk, or in the worst case scenario, they're completely forgotten. So it can take an eternity for an invoice to be approved, for example. This causes aggravation and costs time and money. DocuWare takes your documents straight to the finish line electronically, without detours. All documents are always exactly where they are needed. Employees are immediately notified if they have to process a document. And what previously took an eternity is now almost incidental.
So yeah, this past year has been crazy.
The UK has left the European Union.
The outbreak is very high risk.
Emergency order.
There are fears that the Dow will drop.
The job loss numbers staggering.
Some retail traders are cashing in.
And the role that it's been on, you've got a number of factors here.
Join me and the over 5,000 viewers on The New Economy. There I interview innovators, technologists, financiers, regulators, and business people on what's next in the new economy. Season 2. Join me and my guests every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. on our TV. The New Economy. What's next? I'm very familiar with it, and but you're right. You know, there's this this movement in the African diaspora for more of a connection. You know, with I guess you call it the motherland, or
yes, absolutely. Because you're right, but
because it's you know, the people look like us, they sound like us.
Yeah.
Like when I'm a sportsman, so whenever I would travel, we would be hanging out. The people that whenever we went to a judo tournament, the people the Bahamians most hung out with were the South Africans, because it was like, you know, we're a mixed society, so you got a mixed group of people, you got a mixed group of Bahamians, a mixed group of South Africans.
What's interesting is that from Sierra Leone right to Ghana, with the exception of Cote d'Ivoire and Togo, right? From Sierra Leone right to Ghana, it's very interesting that you have Williams, you have Coopers, right? You have Outons, you have Pinders, you know, you have all these people. They say Yina, they say y'all, right? They say exactly the same phrases.
They look the same, they walk the same. You're like, is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
There've been times where you walk up to people in these international events, and you're like, I've seen you before, you know. And it's like, no, he's African. It's just it's amazing.
No. But what Ghana itself in its welcome back program to the diaspora. In 3 years, Ghana did $1.2 billion. Right?
Amazing.
1.2 billion, and that's net. That's the once they covered all the costs of promotion and all the other elements and so on. That's growth to Ghana. They tripled the number of hotel rooms in Accra, and then of course you can drive from Accra straight up the coast northwards to one of the most beautiful cities in the world, in Abidjan, in Côte d'Ivoire. Beautiful islands with ancient, beautiful buildings and things of that sort around the city. So these are places where you go to Paris. So we have been. I mean, nothing wrong with Paris.
No,
Paris.
it's. But we're talking about a different part of the world.
We're talking about a different part of the world now. And so friends of mine, Stephen Stewart, and some of the other guys I know, Shane Stewart, all Freeport guys. Although Stephen shows off and acts like a Nassau guy, but the interesting thing is that's what happens when you go to St. Andrews, man. But the interesting thing there is that we decided, because we move around the world a great deal, and I was talking to Miles Monroe about this probably like in 2002, is that we created an itinerary that's kind of a people with African origins. What would be your itinerary? And really, Côte d'Ivoire is one of the places you have to see before you die. When you look at the African continent, you wouldn't suppose a city like that exists. But when you rein in close on it, even if you go on Google Earth and you look at it, it's a series of islands like Venice, right? It's a series of small islands and so on, the entire city. And it's so magical and beautiful. Its architecture is so incredible, and its economy is growing by leaps and bounds.
Wow,
it's incredible.
Wow.
And you're right that when you attend these cities, if you go to New York City and you say I want to see the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, I mean that's not happening, right? The average, I'm talking about an intelligent, thoughtful.
The average person, even if you know him, you probably can't see him.
You can't see him. I mean, his children may not be able to see him.
Yeah.
But if you go to Côte d'Ivoire or you go to Ghana as a Bahamian, and with your reputation already, you put a CV together or a media kit, which everybody should have, and you go and you visit, you could get a meeting. And the people that you're meeting speak your language. They speak the cultural language that you speak. So the way we live and the way we function in our relationship to music and our parents and yes, sir, and no, sir, and no, mom, and women who are nice to you are your auntie, even though they're not your auntie, and all that kind of thing, right? So you got the cultural side, but these people all worked at Goldman Sachs or Jeffries or, for their period of time, or went to school in Paris or London or wherever. And so you've got both languages just like we do. So you can go to Exoma and hang out at a regatta, but if somebody comes in and starts talking structured finance, you're there.
You're right there. You're holding your own.
And so we have this dual. It gives us a chance to take advantage of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the question then, I guess, you think the future is Africa?
Yes, I wrote this point in 2007 that Africa was the future, and I did a complete statistical breakdown of the demographics and the underlying commodities and the trajectory. Those are the three things that you have to look at to determine whether a region is going to meet the future and its potential. Its potential and the future are going to intersect at some point, and that produces exponential growth. And so if you look at places like Japan, which are almost zero growth places, but they have a serious birth rate problem, and they have a serious age.
It's a serious problem. One of the worst in the
they
world.
have a serious aging problem. The United States, 100 million people are retiring in the next 27 years, right? That goes for North America, Canada as well. Europe, you have a high death rate, high aging rate, a low birth rate, and a high cost, inefficient social safety net. So Europe is not competitive. Africa is the only continent that's really competitive. And people can say, yes, it's true, there's corruption and there's other things. But digitized systems...
They're growing pains.
Yes,
those are growing pains.
Growing pains. And you're never going to get that true exponential value without taking a risk in alinear systems where you have, here in the Bahamas, we've had home training to deal with systems of this sort. So Africa should be a place for us where we know how to cross the T's and dot the I's and get value out of any project that we are attempting to do.
Yeah, and you know, I think I've always thought that in terms of banking services, financial services, you know, I went to school with a lot of Africans, and every African I met on this side of the world is fabulously wealthy or from a good family because, you know, they could afford to come. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to offer financial services to them. And offer value.
There is. Well, particularly in your space where you're going from the capital markets, micro capital markets to funding VC propositions, and you probably get into mezzanine financing and then all the elements of advisories and structured finance and so on.
We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsor. Think direct ownership of the Bahamian pie isn't for you? Think again. At Arawak X, we believe in the ingenuity of the Bahamian people. These times are uncertain and unprecedented, but we know that in every crisis there is an opportunity to add value to people's lives. To this, we understand that new businesses will be formed and old ideas whose time has finally come will be realized. We see this in industries long been ignored by traditional financial services and by society at large, particularly in our digital businesses, agribusiness, fishing, manufacturing, and even new touristic ventures. Due to our present circumstances, these businesses have finally been brought to the forefront. Arawak X seeks to give your ideas and your participation a means of making your financial dreams a reality. We give businesses and investors tools needed to finance them. Business is a complicated thing, with many moving and changing parts that often require multidisciplinary teams to turn ideas into reality. While no one can truly say which businesses will make it and thrive and which will not, there are certain formulaic traits that successful businesses have. This is why we here at Arawak X place such a high emphasis on corporate governance and the structure it brings to give companies the best chance at growth and expansion. Arawak X operates a regulated and financially inclusive platform that combines modern technology with best practices and a world-class team to bring together businesses and investors at every level, allowing wider participation in ownership of companies. So here's how it works. Investors, both foreign and local, individual and institutional, can view offerings and directly invest into these companies. We have spent several years and invested greatly in our staff and technology processes. We are doing this by greatly expanding the ease of investment. In other words, people will be able to participate in promising new ventures for as little as $50. The ethos of our institution is that of financial inclusion. And in this spirit, we ourselves will be a publicly traded company. In these next few months, as we roll out our platform, know that we view ourselves as an integral part of a wider societal change, the change that brings ownership, opportunity to everyone. We are pleased to work with our partners in industry, government, civil society, and the people in making the Bahamas the best little nation on this planet. As a first step, we have put together a free online course, the Intelligent Bahamian Investor Masterclass, that will give you some of the basics to investing. This can be found at invest242.com. Arawak X, dream.
And then micro lending at the bottom end of it, at the scale end of it. And so there'll be opportunities for you. So I can see you listing African startups, right, on your exchange and being the mechanism between the commodities exchange and we're talking a little sharp now, so I hope we're not losing here. But between the commodities exchange of the African Union and the if you like, the marketplace, right, and the market maker for investors in the diaspora to access these African securities and commodities. So I think they're tremendous, and we're talking about hundreds of billions. We're not talking about talking about
like when he says it's the youngest continent. Like the majority of people are under the age of 15. So
right.
when they get a little bit of a job and a little bit of savings, and they start wanting things like a car. All of those people need cars. All those people need cell phones. All those people. So the numbers are insane.
There's quite a runway, and the thing is that there's a new transition going on. So, for instance, I have friends in Argentina, in Brazil, who are manufacturers, and they are manufacturers for like Pampers or baby wipes, women feminine napkins, these kinds of things. Well, in Africa, just as in Brazil, your primary source countries, they have the softwoods and things like that you need. They have the land space. They have the cultivation culture. All right. And so supplying those sorts of things as people move from the rural areas and become more urban and suburban, these sorts of comforts of urban and suburban life become very important. So all of a sudden you can go from, unlike the New York Stock Exchange, you could have a vertically integrated investment platform where you go from the originating businesses, helping them to get stood up by just providing advice, to listing them, and then to extending their securities and capital raising options exponentially.
Yeah, it's well, obviously that's not our initial focus, but
I understand.
We certainly these are possibilities.
Yes, and that's the thing that I want everybody to understand. So that's been a primary area of focus. The other area, obviously, my primary area was financial centers and how financial centers function, and that has been since 1998. But where I was the chief advisor to the Swiss Private Bankers Association and represented them up until 2004, and then switched to I represented Madam Wu, the Vice Premier of China, and did the study on. I actually put together the offering memorandum for the attempt to purchase the concession of the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement in Freeport under that, but it was based on a shipping study that I did. For Madam Wu. Yeah.
It's we have to. One of the purposes of this show, as we are painfully learning, we have to look outward at the world, and we have to stop. We have to stop saying we can't do these things, because we can do these things. And as you know this, sir, I know this from traveling. People love Bahamians. They love us.
Yes, they do.
Everybody. There's so few of us. Most people have never met a Bahamian, and when they meet you, they think every Bahamian is like how you are. We have a great brand, and we truly, truly, truly understand hospitality and taking care of people. The majority of the world does not understand that. This was early on in my sport days. You'd go to the Eastern Bloc of Eastern Europe, and you would go up to the front desk, and they'd be like, "What do you want?" It's like, who taught you how to speak to a guest? A goat? I mean, they're better now, but but it takes time. This is an expertise that we are really world class. It's not that much better. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. This is Professor Gilbert Morris. His book is No More What We Were. Where can they find your book, Professor Morris?
It's going to be out in October.
In October.
It's going to be out in October, and I am engaging with the local bookstores in Nassau. So it'll be available in bookstores in Nassau.
That was Professor Gilbert Morris. See you next time.